Welcome to this next session of yoga. It's lovely to be back with you on the mat, and I have a few thoughts about this practice. The first one is that I'm definitely eating more and not getting out as much, so not getting as much exercise outside the home. I'm presuming you're the same, so I thought today would be a good opportunity to work with the core, to do some core strength work and focus quite deeply into that. The other thing is, I suppose, difficult and all as it is being in all the time, we have had lovely weather to enjoy. If you have a garden, it's been great to be able to get out in the garden. And I also find it's given me time to connect to old friends and to make time for activities that I don't normally have time to do. And one of them, I found myself looking at old books, which to me are like old friends. And I made an interesting connection today. A book which I loved in the past is this book called Sacred Journeys in a Modern World by Roger Houston. And he wrote this book at the time of the millennium, and I loved it, and somehow I related it to yoga, to the practice of yoga. I just read out one little bit here from it. At the dawn of a new millennium, the question of meaning and identity rubs sores into the most well-adjusted of individuals. For the once familiar safety nets of religion, family, and ancestral occupation are no longer there to console us when we fall through our illusions about who we are and where we are going. As the certainties fade, we are becoming a hungry people, and for many, the new apartment with the river view or the BMW just doesn't fill the gap. Even the Bushmen of the Kalahari recognize two hungers, the little hunger for food and the big hunger to join with creation. So it is an eternal and universal story then, the one about displacement and the perennial search for home. My personal and instinctive response to this hunger has been to move my body into unfamiliar territory, especially those parts of the world where the primordial wilderness still survives. So when I read that, I thought, yeah, for me, yoga is moving my body into unfamiliar territory and learning more about how I function at home in my body, even as it's aging and becoming more stiff. But just feeling that ease and comfort of being at home. So that's really what I came back to, that understanding that I recognized 20 years ago. Just coming back to it was really nice. And then I made the connection with a book that he wrote or compiled, 10 poems to open the heart. And I read one of the poems in this called Kindness there a couple of sessions ago. He's written another book, 10 poems for difficult times, which would be very good, I think, at the moment to read. So it was just lovely. I never just made that connection that the poems that I enjoy he compiled, and the book that sort of venturing into places of the world which are so full of spirit, so sacred. Anyway, coming back to today and the body, what you need today is the belt. Yeah. And if you could loop the belt firmly, put it in a position that it's not going to shift, and then it needs to be this wide, so basically the width of your shoulders, that wide. like that. And we will use it in several ways. And then also your 2 blocks. Yeah, if you have something like that, that would be helpful. And this block as well. I find myself sitting very comfortably into that shape, you know, so it comes in handy. So to start anyway, I will bring you through movements that you are familiar with, and we're building up to a pose in yoga. Somebody asked me recently to mention the Sanskrit names of the poses, and this one is called Urdhva Prasarita Padasana. Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, and it means upward extended feet pose. So I know that won't mean much to anybody, but a couple of people asked me about using the Sanskrit names. It actually has an energy. The Sanskrit name, using Sanskrit when we're practicing yoga, has an energy, and that's nice to have. Okay, so let's start. And I'm going to lie down on the mat, and I'm using this block underneath my head just to make sure that the neck doesn't tighten, especially when I'm teaching. If I was doing this on my own, I'd be fine, but I tend to think and then it tightens up the neck. So just keeping that area nice, loose and free. Knees slightly bent. And the first thing I just want you to observe is the lower back, because we're going to be working with the core today. So if you could tilt the pelvis forward and back, and then come to a position where it's halfway. It's neither forced in a kind of a curve, nor does the lower back meet the mat. So about halfway. And then just check that the weight is even in both buttocks, that you can sit comfortably, the body weight down into the pelvic bowl. Good. And your breath. We want to keep the diaphragm nice and relaxed so that we can use our breath very freely in movement, and that will strengthen the movement as well. So the out breath is when we need strength. We use an out breath to create strength, as you would in the gym when you're using weights or anything. It's the out breath that brings the strength. So bringing the right knee in towards you and just holding it there for a moment. I have the left knee bent, yeah. So I'm just getting the feel of that. And I'm really just rocking a little on the right side of the pelvis, just to get a sense of keeping that pelvic area steady, or not so much steady, but the back steady. So I want to stabilize the back. So there I go. And then I'm using my belt. So I'm using a bigger loop than usual. I'm putting that looped area around the foot, holding it up, and then I tend to take it this way because I find that you can stiffen up your shoulder a bit if you're holding it like this. So if you can take it back. Now you may only reach halfway up, that's fine, or you may be able to go the 90 degrees, whatever you can manage. And then if you feel comfortable supporting yourself in this area without making any change whatsoever to the lower back, straighten that leg out. Just keep checking that the pelvis stays steady, that the lower back is supported. And just holding that leg. And I'm stretching the heel up now. Because the loop is bigger, my foot could slip out. So I'm keeping the toes slightly upwards. Check the neck, that you're not tightening the neck, nor the shoulders. So just holding that leg quite loosely, and breathe, and begin to feel an opening at the back of the knee, just opening up this area, hamstring stretching. And I feel more if I bring the heel upwards like this. I can feel more, but I don't want to tighten the shoulders or neck, so I just leave it like that. And just breathe into that, and let's take a few breaths. And each time you breathe out, see if you can release just that tiny, tiny amount more to feel more release into this area. So your hamstrings extend from behind your knee to the top of your leg. Now I'm going to bend this left knee and drop it outwards, support it with my hand, and take this right leg out towards the right. All the time lengthening the leg and checking that you're not disturbing the weight in the pelvis and you're not putting any strain whatsoever on your lower back. So the hand on this side of the pelvis helps to keep it level. And once again, a couple of breaths. I tend to use about three breaths. Good. And then just slowly coming back. Now I'm straightening down the left leg, taking the belt into the left hand, stretching my right arm out fully, palm is facing upwards, and I'm taking that right leg over towards the left. And my head turns gently towards the right. Breath. Now this left foot is following the movement. The right side of your pelvis lifts, but the right shoulder stays on the ground. And then if you want a little bit more stretch, slide the right arm back a little more. So they're just 3 easy breaths. I'm not going to any, because we haven't done any pranayama yet. So I'm just keeping it nice and easy. These are really just stretches that are going to prepare you for the core movements we're going to be doing. Okay, so I'm bending that knee and releasing the leg down and just noticing the difference. And definitely that leg feels longer now. So placing the belt around the left foot, stretching the leg up, taking this belt right back behind me. Breath. If you feel it's too much, you either bend the right knee or drop the leg a little bit lower so that you're within your own range of movement and you feel comfort. Well, you also feel the stretch, yeah? As I say, good pain. And really, I only use the word pain because we're so afraid of any discomfort and we see it as pain, but it's not really. It's more like just the feel of these muscles getting a chance to open up and be more alive and more length there. Now I'm bending my right knee and put my right hand on the inner thigh and then drawing this left leg out towards the left, lengthening the leg out of the pelvis and at the same time keeping the pelvic area nice and steady. So I said about 3 breaths. And you just notice then you're getting into breath time and your focus is in the body. You're letting go of the clock and you're letting go of all that's happening in the world around you or outside. And then slowly coming back, stretching the leg down, taking the belt into the right hand, left arm at shoulder height, palm of the hand turned upwards, and draw the left leg over towards the right. And then just very gently turning your head towards the left. keeping the shoulder down. Try and keep the leg high as well. Good, and then slowly coming back. Taking a deep breath, and then lowering the leg. Okay. So just being aware that both legs feel equally long. Now say if they don't, like I feel this leg is still a little bit shorter than this leg. So what you can do if that's the case is you can hike the hip area up on the left side, hold it quite rigidly tight for a moment. Take a breath. And as you breathe out, release. And feel the leg lengthening. And you could do that several times, but that feels a bit better now for me. I was just a little bit tighter on that side. Good. Now slowly bend both knees, one at a time, always one at a time. And then take the block away. And take your arms up at shoulder height. Imagine you've got two ropes coming down from the ceiling. Stretch the right arm up and let the head naturally go back. And reach up as high as you can. And release. Come back to neutral. And only then come to the left side. Left arm stretching up, head back. And release. I'm just going to do that a couple of times. Just getting in there between the shoulder blades. Good. And then this time, taking the right arm over towards the left and just giving it a bit more stretch. I'm just doing it that way. It's just a gentle stretch. That's it. And then see if you could take your hands behind your head, elbows in towards your ears. The knees are bent, feet are firmly on the ground. And I'd like you to notice your lower back. And once again, arch the back and then drop the central area of the lower back down into the mat and become aware of your core muscles. Again, arching so they're released. Drop down into down towards the floor, the lower back area towards the floor, and feel your abdominal muscles working and the pelvic floor tightening up a little as well. Good. Now, can you open up your elbows? Now, you may get them to the ground or they may be here, it doesn't matter, whatever. And then once again, just that tipping and tilting of the pelvis, and just take a few moments to really focus on that area. Now with the elbows dropping, think of the shoulder area separating from the pelvic area. Shoulder blades are wide apart. Shoulder blades are dropping down your back. Back of the neck is lengthening. Good. And the pelvic area is supporting you. Now slowly take your hands and place them underneath your bum so you're sitting on your hands. Okay? And I'm going to grade this because not everybody will be able for the full movement. Okay? So we'll start this way. Always lift one foot off the ground because then you don't disturb the pelvis or your lower back. Now just check that the lower back isn't moving. It's not dropping down to bring the leg up, or it's not tipping the other way. Okay? It's not lifting away from the floor. It needs to be in a neutral position. and then the other leg comes off the floor like this. Now you keep the back of the neck nice and long, no block, chin down. You can have a block underneath your head if you like, but it would be better if you didn't. And then straighten up one leg, and then straighten up the other leg. Now, keep checking your lower back, that rather than using your back muscles, you're using the core. And once you've got the feel of that, remove your hands. Take the arms out to the sides, palms facing downwards. Now slowly lower the right leg without disturbing your back. It's quite difficult to do. And then bend, and then the other leg lowers. Straighten up the right one, bend, straighten up. So you're cycling, bend, straighten up, bend, straighten up. Just breathe whatever way you can breathe. It's hard to coordinate breathing with the movement, especially when I'm speaking. Okay, now just say if that's too difficult for somebody, then you keep this leg on the ground, lift your right leg, lower, bend, straighten, and lower, and then repeat that on the other leg, bend, straighten, and lower. Now all the time check that you're not using neck muscle or back muscle. Okay, both knees bent. Come back and reposition. Just make sure that you're getting right into the core muscles there. Take one leg off the ground and then the other. Straighten and try again. Oh, I need this work. I don't think my core is as strong as it should be. I think we all have favorites when it comes to yoga movements, and I love working with the hips and I love working with the standing poses and so on, but I'm not really as keen on these movements, but they are good and they're necessary. Okay, and then release. Okay, now we're going to try bringing the arms into this. So there's various ways we could do this. Where are my blocks? You could position the blocks so that they're there behind you, like that. And just see if you can keep your pelvis level. Once again, you're not using back muscle. The back is in a neutral position. There's a slight lift off the floor. It's not dropped right down into the floor, nor is it pushed away from the floor. Don't let it push away from the floor. So you keep that in a very neutral position, like that. And then see if you can take your arms back. Now I'm just a little bit short of space here. So the arms back like that, and you can rest them on your blocks. And that's really nice. The other thing you could do is leave the blocks and see if you can get the arms back towards the floor. Now, if you have a shoulder problem, which I do, I've been doing far too much gardening now and painting and so on, so I can feel, and you can probably see it there, there's a lot of tightness in that shoulder, and I don't want to put it under pressure. So the belt, we're going to use this belt like this. Do you remember where I got you to make it shoulder width? Like that, and then bring the arms back, and it gives your shoulders so much more support. So I'm kind of pushing against the belt, and I think I'll use the blocks as well. No, I won't, but you could use the blocks as well. I'll try it without, and then if I need them, they're there. That's why the props are always good. Because you'll have different days, you know, some days you'll find it's easy to do certain movements, and other days it's just not. And the props will really help you to get back on track. So the arms are stretched out, and I can really feel some tightness in my left shoulder, and I think it's because I do too much. This one I injured, and this one I do too much with. But anyway, they're fine. Now, can you lift the right foot off the ground and then the left one? Now be really aware of your lower back. Don't let it budge, because if you do, you're not going to get what you need out of the movement, and you will put pressure on your back. So keeping the back very settled, very steady, stretching the right leg straight, and then the left one, and just staying there for a few breaths. Let's say 3 breaths. Now, if that's easy, try lowering the legs a little. Now, if you can't manage that, you can bend your knees and lower them a little like that, okay? If you can, keep your legs straight and come down a little now. I'm telling you, this really works the core. Well, for me anyway, I really feel it. And it's not one of my favorites, so you haven't been doing it in class with me. And maybe a tiny bit more. And once you find yourself using your neck or any shift in your back, stop and go back to an easier position. I can feel my muscles laughing at me. And really lengthening down each side of the body. I'm really using the side muscles as well. Good. And then bending the knees, releasing the arms from the belt, and hugging those knees close to you. Okay. Now this time I'm using 2 blocks, and I'm placing the blocks underneath the pelvis. Okay, now as I'm placing them that way, they're going up quite high. So I don't have the feedback of my back in the position that it was in before, where I could feel a certain amount of it on the ground. I don't have that feedback now, but I have to rely on the feedback from my pelvis being nice and steady and well supported. So this is a great stabilizer for this whole area. So I'm going to try it without the belt this time, interlace the fingers, and take, actually no, I just cross over the thumbs and take the arms forward. Now I don't have a lot of space here. I'm doing my best. Okay. And once again, take the right foot off the ground, the left foot off the ground, and straighten. Check the neck. Keep the back of the neck really long. Now get really steady on those blocks, and then just coming down a little. Now the tendency here is to arch the back to make the movement happen, but don't. Really work the core. You'll feel the front of the abdominal area working hard, and the posterior abdominal muscles working as well. Good. Then bending the knees and coming back. Taking the arms down the sides so you can remove. No, let's just leave the blocks there for another moment, but I'm going to change. I think I'll change them this way. 1, 2. I just find that's more comfortable. And then release. Really let go. And there's your psoas stretch, just letting the back of the neck lengthen. And this whole area relax. And remember that muscles that are strong are muscles that can relax. It's not all about tension and holding. It's also about letting go. And that feels good. Okay, and I'm going to add to that now, bending my knees, putting my right foot here. Now this isn't obviously a core strength muscle, but I like to integrate whatever I'm doing into and add in other movements that we need. Okay, and then I'm just going to get that stretch on this side as well. Three breaths. Okay, and just feel that. And then feet on the ground. Now I'm taking the blocks away. Arms are outstretched at shoulder height. Lifting one foot off the ground and then the other. Dropping both knees towards the right. Right hand onto the left knee and turning my head towards the left just to get a nice rotation. And I'm keeping the tummy area nice and soft. Oh, listening to the bird song outside, it's just lovely. And only the odd car passing. Even though the road is quite far away, I can still hear it and probably noticing sound more. And then just gently coming back and taking both knees over towards the left, releasing, turning my head towards the right and keeping that right shoulder on the ground, relaxed on the ground, head turned towards the right and just releasing into that. If that's too difficult, you could always drop the knees further down, away from the body, you know. Great. And then slowly coming back. Now keeping the knees well in towards me and coming up into sitting. So this is the other one I like to do for the core muscles. Sitting right up in the sit bones, so not like this, but right up in the sit bones. A hand on each knee. Once again, lifting the right foot off the ground and then the left. Arms stretched out, coming down and back up. Breathing out as you bring the knees close towards you. Breathing in. Now I'm bringing the arms, this is for the oblique muscles, arms over to the left, knees towards the right. And then change direction. And then coming back to center. And the release. Now, for me, that's quite a lot. I feel I've done quite a lot for my tummy. Okay, so Another movement now. Bringing that right foot closely in to you and bringing the arms over to the left and onto the floor. And I'm just letting that right side lift so that I'm getting a really good stretch around towards the left, like that. So the right buttock is off the ground. Okay, that's the first bit. And then the second bit is bringing my body weight forward. Now, if it's really difficult, you can always bend the left knee. But if you can, you keep it straight, coming forward. And then take this arm, the right hand to the ground, the left hand to the ground, and use your hands to just allow you to move forward. Chin down. The weight's on the outside of the right foot. And then if you can, take your hands back and clasp them, and you're turning towards the left. Forward and around. Now, if you can't manage this one, you can always use the belt. So you could have your belt like this and turn as much as you need. Okay? And then release. I'll try that the other side. So you bend the left knee. You bring your hands over to the right and you get that lengthening. So I feel all these side muscles lengthening now in preparation for the next part of the movement. I like to do this after the core strengthening movements, just to make sure everything is loose and free. So I'm coming forward, hands on the ground, just pushing my weight forward a little more. And then wrapping that left arm around, taking my right hand back towards it. If your arms aren't long, if you can't reach, it doesn't matter. You could be using the belt. So you'd use the belt like this, yeah? And then just turning, coming forward and turn. So it's not an upright position, it's kind of a forward movement and a turn. Good. And then slowly release. Now counter pose, you bring the hands back. If you want to get a good stretch into the wrists and work your hands, you'd have your hands facing the body. If it's too much, you could have be on your fingertips, or you could make fists with your hands. So whichever way suits, roll the shoulders right back. Now point the toes away and then lift the bum. Good, and then slowly coming back. Bringing the feet closely into you. Hands just clasping the toes and just get a nice upright spine. Left knee drops. And then your left knee lifts and the right leg drops. And then the right one lifts and the left one drops. And then you drop both. Sitting up nice and tall. Holding your toes, leaning back slightly, and then just to get a bit of a balance, holding that balance for a breath or two, releasing all the news at the moment, constantly the COVID situation here and abroad. So just for now, letting it go. Staying in your body, and then you can try straightening that right leg, because we did some quite nice stretches with the hamstrings, so that it'll stretch a little bit easier now. And then the left leg, stretching it out and releasing, and then stretching both. And release. And you know I love squatting, so I'm just going to use those two blocks, Sit comfortably on them. Bring the feet well in. Elbows on the inside. And having done that other twist, I can really feel quite free now to get right into this position. That's nice. Interlace the fingers, turn the hands inside out and get a lovely lengthy stretch. And just bringing the arms upwards, pushing into your feet to lift the body weight off the blocks and just staying. That's not a great one for knees. If you have a knee problem, you'll find that difficult and you may not want to do it. That's just fine. And releasing. So even, we've only just been lying down and sitting, but we've done quite a nice preparation now for sitting in meditation. So I'm using this block here. And I sit at the very edge of it, as you know, so that it's a little bit in the air. It's not flat on the ground. And then if you like, you could put a block here and here, a block underneath each knee. Just sit nice and comfortably. Yeah, I just want to read out another little piece I came across from Roger Houston. All I know is that this is the life that was given to me. The life that throbs along through any and all of my moments. This is it. If ever I wonder what my life was meant to look like, I have only to look around me. This, whatever I'm doing or not doing, is what it is. This, right here, is as good as it gets. Your one wild and precious life, as Mary Oliver says. And when you follow its movement, without trying to direct it with preconceived plans for the future, your life will lead you where you need to go. When you trust it, your body, rather than your mind, will walk you through the life you are meant to be living, whatever it may be. I just think that's nice at the moment because we really don't know what our future days or months are going to bring. So if we follow this moment, follow its movement, without trying to direct it with preconceived plans for the future, our life will lead us where we're meant to go. When we trust it, your body, rather than your mind, will walk you through the life you are meant to be living, whatever it may be. So, I hope that will just give some focus now for this moment, this breath. And let's just take a look at how the breath is. And deepen it down into the tummy area. And a big sigh as you drop your weight down into your body. Again, a breath down into the tummy. And as you sigh, release all the tension, the tiredness, the holding. And let yourself feel more grounded, connected to the earth. And one more breath. Now you bring your attention to the rib cage and you think of the cage opening and widening like an accordion. I'm just placing my hands on my thighs with the first finger meeting the thumb in each hand. And this time I want to feel an open-heartedness, a wideness in this area. So the same breath, but ujjayi, you're sighing with your mouth closed. Feel the expansion, the openness of the rib cage, the openness of the heart.